products, and there's a 20% off coupon if you mention the ad. You can tell them you heard it on the Drift Radio or say it's in the Current, whatever. 20% off when you mention the ad. So go see Amish Furniture Outlet on M36 in Whitmore Lake, 734-449-8000. Get some quality furniture. Don't buy the crap that we always seem to do. All right, well, I want to move into tariffs, right, because that was a Trump campaign problem. The promises just keep coming, right?
Well, you notice that thing you played about North Korea. He was talking about trade imbalances and tariffs. The guy, man, wow.
I don't. I know Joe wants to put Gary into the love Trump to death
Trump
thing.
worship.
Right? 98% of the time, I like what he's saying. I'm not just your typical super conservative guy. I believe it or not, Gary can be kind of libertarian. Not liberal, but libertarian.
The sensitive right? Gary.
There is no sensitive Gary here. But the tariff, for me, I'm with the tariffs. And this is going to tell you why, because I don't believe that people understand tariffs the way they are currently set up across the globe. And if you actually listen to how tariffs developed after World War II and you know the history of tariffs, you'll understand why Donald Trump is doing what he's doing. And so I want to do this from Wilbur Ross. Wilbur Ross went to Davos this year, right? Davos, where all the rich and the elite.
Right off the
you would think, right? But I want you to listen to the way, because they were nailing him, right? They've got the panel and mostly European guys and a couple of globalist American guys on there. And then Wilbur Ross, the old guy on the end, right? Derek, do you have track 2 ready? All right, this is Wilbur Ross, our Commerce Secretary, talking to the guys at Davos, and they don't have arguments against it. Go ahead and play that.
Heard Xi Jinping make a strong speech saying, in effect, and I'm paraphrasing, if the U.S. is going to retreat from support of the global trading system, which has carried the economy for the last 70 years, we in China are ready to step forward and take the lead. How do you respond to that?
Well, the Chinese have for quite a little while been superb at free trade rhetoric and even more superb at highly protectionist behavior. So I think you have to separate the language from the activities. Every time the U.S. does anything to deal with a problem, we're called protectionist. But I'd like the panelists, who do you think is the least protectionist country in the world if it's not the U.S.? Anyone else have a candidate? Okay.
Second so stop question. Right there, Derek. Stop right there for a minute. All right, so he looks at the panel of Europeans and American globalists and asked them flat out, who is the least protectionist country on the planet if not the U.S.? Silence. Crickets. They know, and you should know. We are the least protectionist country on the planet. So don't let me hear this crap from people saying we're starting a trade war. We are the freest, most open country on the planet to sell product in. Period.
Open immigration, open borders, open markets.
Yeah. So there you go, folks. It's an admission by the elite of the world that the United States is, without a doubt, unequivocally, the best place on the planet, the least protectionist place on the planet to do business. All right, go ahead, Derek.
Who do you think?
You're saying it's China.
Pardon me?
You're saying it is the U.S. is the least protection.
We are. We have the least trade barriers, both tariff. You might have seen the editorial I had run a while back. Sure. Out of 20-odd major products in international trade, China is higher tariffs than we are on all but 2. And the EU is higher than we are on all but about 4. So before we get into sticks and stones about free trade, we ought to first talk about, is there really free trade, or is it a unicorn in the garden?
In some ways, though, that's the role that the U.S. played coming out of World War II. It took the high road. It led the way. If the U.S. isn't willing to play that role anymore, who will? Okay.
Well, let me give you my version of post-World War II history. You may find it as appealing as some of my other remarks, but in any event, it was deliberate U.S. policy to try to help Europe and Asia recover from the ravages of the war. And that was undoubtedly good policy. It was good policy globally. And at the time, in fact, all the way until the 1970s, we had trade surpluses every single year. So it was an affordable policy decision. I think one of the ways where they went wrong was not time limiting it. And that's what I meant when I said before, concessions that were totally appropriate to a European country like a Germany or to a China or to a Japan. What was perfectly appropriate in 1945 is singularly inappropriate as we sit here this year. So there was a timing factor, and I don't blame the WTO or GATT for that. That was U.S. policy. We screwed up. The president has made that pretty clear, that he feels it was important errors historically in our policy decisions about trade. And so now we're left with the cumulative effect of it, and that's what we're trying to deal with in a very short time period.
But David, same question. If the U.S. is not willing to play the kind of role it played in the post-World War II period, who will? Or does someone need to? Or does the system work without it?
That was my whole point in the history lesson. There was a need then because the world had been ravaged by World War II. There's no longer a need to subsidize China or Japan or Europe with our money.
All right, stop right there, Derek. Okay. Subsidizing. That's what the world tariff system is right now. We're still subsidizing Europe. Mm-hmm. We sell cars there. You know what they hit us for? 10%.
Yeah.
They sell cars here in the U.S. You know what we hit them for? 2.5%. That's why you see a ton of Audis and VWs and BMWs here in the United States. You go over to Europe, do you see a lot of Fords? No. Do you see a lot of Chevys? No. Because we're subsidizing them. We continue. And Europe has the unmitigated gall to say, oh, you U.S., you're going to start a trade war. If you're going to slap us with a 10% tariff on European steel, we're going to have to do something to you. What? You're going to raise our tariffs to 12 or 15%? You're already taxing us at 10. Beating us by 8, you dirty, rotten buggers. Why are we still subsidizing the rest of the world? He said it right there. We had surpluses until the 70s, until those countries did so well on their own, they could begin manufacturing and selling us back product.
Well, it's globalism.
It is globalism.
Even Gary Cohn, when he left over this issue, right? Trump said something to the effect of, well, that's okay. There goes my favorite globalist.
Yeah. Well,
he knew exactly who Gary Cohn was.
You're ruining my next track.
Oh, man.
Stop reading my mind. Would you just get out of my head, Ed?
All right. Would the record please strike the record of the last 5 minutes? The jury will disregard Ed's comments.
We're done with that one, Derek. But that's a great track, and I want people go to the Daily Drift. I put that stuff up there for you. Educate yourself, for crying out loud, because you know what? This is the facts. He's not starting a trade war. He's just trying to get things balanced and equitable. There's no reason we should be subsidizing Japan, China, or Europe through tariffs, right? Yeah. They're not equal tariffs.
And you're subsidizing their national industries. You know, that's like China, you know, the accusation of dumping. Well, they do. They do dump.
Absolutely.
They support their national steel and defense industry by taxes that we can't do here in the United States. We don't pay out payments to National Steel, you know, Great Lakes or National Steel or
Yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah. Let's take a call from Gary in Hazel Park. Gary, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, good afternoon. You know what? There's this little known area, this region in America. We call it the Rust Belt. It used to be a metaphor, then it became a cliche, and now it's just a way of life. And why is that? Because of the politicians and them allowing for decades to allowing steel to be dumped into our market. Now, all those families, generations of families that suffered, whole towns died because of what they did. And now we have an opportunity to rebirth the greatness of the Midwest. And we still have politicians fighting it. As you said just a little bit ago, they're a bunch of rat bastards.
Yeah, when Wilbur Ross, who's an incredibly smart man, I've turned into like the biggest Wilbur Ross fan in the last 2 weeks because you know what? You don't hear. People are not hearing his story. You didn't see it on CNN. You didn't see it on MSNBC. You don't see it. I haven't even seen it on Fox. Right? This is stuff I'm pulling out of Twitter, folks, because the mainstream media doesn't want you to know that tariffs have been unfairly pushed on the United States for decades. And according to it was our own fault, of course, but we never timed it out, and we should have.
Some of this. Go ahead, Gary. I'm sorry.
People do not think long term. They have to think in decades and centuries when you think about the affairs of the human race. Like he just said, what was good in 1945 is not good in 2020. It's just obvious. I mean, everything changes, everything grows, everything morphs. Nothing is ever the same. So it's time to get with the program, which is America First.
Well, back in the 70s, a series of books came out. I don't know how many were by the same author, Toffler. Future Shock, Next Wave, Green Wave, something like that.
Population Bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And these were books that were pointing out a philosophy of moving off manufacturing off the shores of the United States for environmental reasons. And the thought was America will manage manufacturing abroad so that we will be clean. It'll be the greening of America. We'll clean up our brown lands, and we'll just be a nation of managers. That's really worked out well. I always thought at the time I read that it was a very racist notion, as if we send manufacturing over to China, that they won't catch on how to do it themselves because they're just inherently stupid. Yeah, right.
Not only that, if to have a nation of managers, you have to teach children how to do math, not Common Core. I mean, real math.
Right.
How are you going to manage anything if you can't spell?
Yeah. Well, look at our youth today on college campuses. They're completely inept. I mean, they're not taking engineering, they're not taking technology, they're taking social justice degrees, and then we wonder why we have a shortage of engineers here in the United States.
Remember the Time Machine movie, the classic Time Machine with the big disc behind his back, the one from the 50s? Yeah. The Eloy.
Yeah. Remember
the Eloy? They just kind of, the social justice Eloy that the Morlocks were eating at night and nobody realized what was going on. Yeah. That's it. Yep.
Today's youth are the Eloy.
Yes,
that's
Eloy.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
that's crazy. What else you got, Gary?
If you hear a big sound, don't walk towards the sound. Walk the other way.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else,
guys,
Gary?
Take it easy.
All right. Take care.
Thanks.
All right. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about Gary Cohn leaving the administration.
Gary who?
Yeah. No, I know. All right. We'll see you on the other side of the break.
Speaking of art with Ed Hoffman.
The direction that the great young genius Raphael was taking, even more sophisticated. Just look at the Transfiguration, which is in the Great Vatican collections in Rome. Very large painting. I've seen it. The wonderful Transfiguration where you see Christ rising, you see the apostles down below. If you were to go to the Vatican and you were to see one painting, you would be happy to have seen that one painting. You want to stay an hour in front of it.
Speaking of art with Ed Hoffman. Saturday afternoons from 3 to 4, right here on Wham!
A&H Lawn Service in Saline serves all of southeast Michigan. Co-founders Tim and Brandon have been offering professional lawn maintenance since 1991. Landscape construction, lawn and landscape maintenance, irrigation systems, winterizing, and snow removal. Let A&H Lawn Service help your business with landscaping solutions for today and tomorrow. Tim and Brandon have the professional experience you can count on. Call them today at 734-429-5778. See how their business can help your business. Visit A&H Lawn Service online at ahlawncare.com. Better yet, call Tim and Brandon today at 734-429-5778. Find out how they can make your business look a whole lot better. That's A&H Lawn Service, ahlawncare.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Austin, the A in A&H Lawn Service. Brandon and I started our landscape business in 1991 and grown our business into a full-service landscape and landscape maintenance company. We would love to add your name to our list of happy customers.
Many of our troops fought for our country and are struggling from the effects of invisible wounds, such as post-traumatic stress and traumatic brain injuries. Camp Liberty's all-volunteer nonprofit program utilizes inclusive outdoor recreation activities to help these heroes reintegrate back into their family and their community. Camp Liberty provides a setting for veterans and their families to heal together in the great Michigan outdoors. You can help Camp Liberty help our Michigan heroes by visiting their website at camp-liberty.org.
And welcome back. Thanks for tuning in to Catch Our Drift. Joining me in studio, it's Ed Bonderenka.
Yeah, it's at Gary's Jukebox.
That's my jukebox, too.
We were just talking about Rod Taylor and that big aluminum disc he had behind him and the time
Was it aluminium?
Time
It
machine.
always looked like brass to me. I always thought that was kind of a cool looking machine.
Yeah.
One of my favorite